I am the Baby Think It Over instructor for Lincoln County. The Baby Think It Over program became available to us approximately 5 years ago, where the Department of Social Services wrote a grant in order to provide some abstinence education in the Lincoln County area. At that time, we were offered the possibility of a 5-year grant with continuation funding each year. At that time, Merrill, Prairie River Middle School in Merrill, and Tomahawk Middle School in Tomahawk agreed to do the Baby Think It Over program. We purchased 30 simulators for Prairie River and 30 simulators for Tomahawk Middle School using the Baby Think It Over money. This program came to the Merrill School and to the Tomahawk schools at no cost to the Merrill School District or to the Tomahawk School District. The high school in Merrill became interested in the program at least 2 or 3 years ago to use as part of their parenting class that's offered through the Consumer Education Department. At that time, we didn't have the available funds to purchase babies for Merrill High School, so we were able to let Prairie River and Merrill High School share the simulators between the two schools. But a year ago, we had adequate funding to purchase simulators for Merrill High School. At this time, now in Lincoln County, we have 90 Baby Think It Over simulators. The purpose of the Baby Think It Over program is to teach abstinence education, to provide abstinence education for the young people in Lincoln County. There are a number of options that we have available to us through the Baby Think It Over program. We are able to teach budgeting for a baby. We're able to teach what's involved with sudden infant death syndrome and how to prevent it. We talk about shaken baby syndrome and how to prevent it. We really give the teens of Lincoln County the opportunity to experience what it would be like to actually be a teen parent for a weekend. The simulators turn on Friday after school and they run through Sunday evening, and the teen returns to school on Monday. The simulator is turned off, and then we have classes after the simulation to explain how the weekend went, what kind of challenges there were, what it was like being a teen parent. The teens are also given a questionnaire before they take the baby for the weekend and after they take the baby. It's a confidential questionnaire, and we ask questions such as, has taken the baby home changed your opinions about parenthood, and how important do you think it is to have someone to help you when you have a baby? Are you financially prepared to take care of a baby? It asks some pretty thought-provoking questions. We use that data to compile some statistics at the end of each year to report to the federal government. We are now in the final year of the 5-year grant. So technically the grant expired in February 2003, last month. However, we have agreed to run the program through May so that everyone during this school year can be offered the opportunity to take home a baby. At the end of this year, the babies become property of Merrill School District and the Tomahawk School District, and it is up to them to decide if they want to continue that program in years to come. So, okay, that's it. Do you want me to be in a... At this time, I want to go through some of the functions that the baby goes through over the course of the weekend and demonstrate for you how to care for the baby. Each Each student who participates in the Baby Think It Over program is able to take home a number of things to help with the care of the baby. They get their own diaper bag that has a number of items in it. Everything is provided that the student needs to take care of the baby. They take home an infant car seat. They're able to take home a stroller. The infant comes with 2 diapers, a sleeper, a baby bottle, a coat, and a baby care book that explains all of the functions of the baby for over the weekend. Before the students take out the baby, they're given the opportunity to practice with the baby in class so they know the functions. Today I'd like to just take you through a few of these functions and show you exactly how the baby operates. The baby will ask for several things over the weekend. It'll ask to be fed, burped, its diaper changed, it'll ask to be rocked. A really nice feature of this baby is that it has a realistic head support. It teaches the teen that a baby's head must be supported at all times, and if the head is not supported, the baby will cry and the baby will need to be rocked until it stops crying. This just really raises an awareness with teens of how fragile babies are and how important it is to support the head at all times. At this time, I'm going to put the baby into practice mode so that we can run through a few of these functions and show you actually how the baby works. This is a computerized system. It has the ability to record how well the baby is taken care of over the course of the weekend, how many times it asked to be fed and wasn't fed, how many times the baby's head went back without support, how many times the diaper was changed. The computer gives us a number of statistics that come out afterwards, after the baby, after the simulation is completed. Each student is asked to wear a wristband with this ID on it over the course of the weekend on the wrist. The wristband is asked not to be removed at any minute, at any time. Every time the baby asks for care, the student needs to take this ID and touch it to the back of the baby so that the baby knows who the caregiver is. You can't care for this baby without an ID. This ID can only be used on this baby. That prevents several teens getting together and one person being responsible for taking care of all the babies at one time. As soon as this baby cries, it takes about 90 seconds. I'm going to ID it. I would normally be wearing this on my wrist, and then I'm going to feed the baby, which you'll actually be able to hear feeding sounds coming from the baby. The baby normally feeds about 30 minutes. It can, just like a real live infant. It feeds anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. And if you take the bottle away before the baby is done eating, it'll cry just like a real infant would cry. Trying to think of some other information that you might want to know. The electronics, this is like taking home a 1 or 2 day old infant. The schedules that are on this baby are based on actual schedules of real infants. At this time, the baby is crying for a feeding. So I need to take the ID, place it in the baby's back, and I will hear a beep. Lay the baby back in my arms and start to feed. At this time, the baby will just cry for or feed for about 14 seconds before it will be done eating. A real feeding session could last up to 30 minutes, but for practice purposes today, the baby will feed for only 14 seconds. As you can see, the baby makes gulping noises and sounds like it's swallowing the food. The baby coos like that at the end to signify that it's done eating, which gives the student a message that the baby is done feeding. Um, this bottle is not, it looks like a regular baby bottle, but it's made specifically for the Baby Think It Over program. You can't just use any baby bottle, you must use the bottle that's provided for you through the Baby Think It Over program. Our babies, while we wait for the next function, which 9 times out of 10 after the baby feeds, it needs to be burped, which I will show you in a minute. But while we're waiting for the baby to ask for a burping, let me just explain that the babies are anatomically correct. We have about equal numbers of girls and boy babies in each school. The student is given a baby through a lottery system. Each baby is numbered, and those numbers are put in a basket at the beginning of class, and they're allowed to pick out a number, and then that's the baby that they get. That helps us to make it like real life, where you get to, where you don't get to choose the sex of your baby. So this way, you don't know if you're getting a boy or a girl until you come to class the day that you're going to take it home, just like in a real live birth. Now the baby is asking for a burp, so I'm going to ID the baby, and I'm going to start to pat the back of the baby. The baby stops crying. I could do this on my shoulder as well, but just for visual purposes, we're going to put it on the table here. Just like a real baby, this could last up to 30 minutes. However, today it'll last just a few seconds. In a little bit, you will hear an actual recording of a burp. Okay, I'm not sure if you were able to hear that, but the baby did burp for me. A real burping session could last up to 30 minutes. But for practice purposes, it just lasted a few seconds, just so the team can get an idea of how to burp a baby and to practice during class. I don't recall what the next function is on the baby, but when we get that far, we will we'll play around a little bit and see if we can find out what this baby needs next. That's another important part of this program is during practice, the baby asks for a number of things in the same order, but once the teen takes the baby home, it won't be in any special order. It'll be up to the team to find out what the baby actually needs, just like with a real live infant. I did want to briefly explain, though, that our babies come in several different ethnicities. We have Caucasian babies, we have Asian babies. A new baby that we just purchased a year ago was the Japanese baby. We have African American babies. We have Native American babies. And we have Hispanic babies. This baby happens to be a Native American infant. We kind of tried to, that was just the coo. The baby does that throughout the weekend just to remind the student that the computer is still on and it's still functioning. So it coos and coughs throughout the weekend just to tell the team that the baby is still on. But getting back to talking about the ethnicities of all the babies, we have the majority of Caucasian babies. However, we do have different ethnicities throughout each of our groups of babies, throughout our 3 groups. And again, the teen does not get to choose the ethnicity just because we don't have enough babies for them to choose which ethnicity they want, so that too goes by the lottery system. You might want to just turn it off.
Children's area, we have 4 computers.
Okay, now the baby is crying for a diaper change, so I'm going to ID the back of the baby. I'm going to remove this diaper, which the baby stops crying when I remove the one diaper, and when I put on the other, the baby is going to coo to tell us that it's happy now because it has on clean diaper, and that the student has successfully changed the dirty diaper. Turn it on and let's wait.
We usually have
The two other functions that are left on the baby is a rocking mode, where the baby will ask to be rocked over the course of the weekend. Again, that will require the use of the ID, and the student will be instructed to rock the baby until they hear a cooing sound, just like a real baby. The baby may need to be rocked for up to 30 minutes at a time before it will be satisfied and coo. The last function that this baby provides is it will cough throughout the weekend. It's a recording of a real baby's cough. And that is like the cooing. It just signifies that the computer is still on, the baby is still there. It will cough or coo in the middle of the night. It is important to note that these babies are programmed according to actual babies' schedules. When they designed this baby, they sent diaries home with parents who had newborn babies and asked them to keep a diary for 24 hours. And they took those same exact schedules that parents had reported of their baby and programmed them into these babies. So some of the schedules are more demanding than others. You do have the ability to decide which schedule goes home with the teenager. We have chosen two schedules. There is one that's available that is a colicky schedule. However, we do not send that home with the teen. We just choose two at random and ask the computer to run those two programs over the weekend. Hopefully we've answered some questions today about the Baby Think It Over program, and you've enjoyed our program today.
The Baby Think It Over program is really interesting and exciting. You get to realize how like a real baby acts over the weekend, and
it's realistic in a way. It's realistic, and you like get to see what it's like to be a parent at an early age, and you'll maybe think twice before doing something that could change your life or whatever.
it cries and you have to change its diaper whenever it needs something. You have a little key and then you put it in and then it stops crying, and I think it'll improve our school because we have a problem with teen pregnancy and stuff.
And